Wow. Jau vakar labai buvau nustebintas šitos hypinės muzikos, kuri man leidžia čia ateiti ant scenos Komikone 2 metai iš eilės. Ačiū labai visiems čia susirinkusiems. Pabandžiau vakar, labai gerai išėjo. Aišku, šiek tiek daugiau žmonių buvo, bet pabandysiu ir šiandien. Duokit šiek tiek garso! Ui, tu savo, jums labai gerai pavyko, labai gerai pavyko. Jūs šiandien maždaug dvigubai mažiau negu vakar, bet jūs dvigubai garsesni, tai labai gerai. Tai ką, šiandieną turėsiu su savimi 2 labai kūrybingus, sakyčiau, turbūt YouTube veteranus, bet toj pakalbėsim, kaip jiems labiau patinka būti charakterizuojamiem. Ir mes pakalbėsime būtent apie skaitmeninę kūrybą šiame tokiame kaip ir socialinių tinklų labai perpūstame amžiuje. Tai su manimi scenoje čia bus, tai gal aš tiesiog tiesiai juos taip ir pakviesiu. Thomas Ridgewell, you can come on stage, and Eddie Bowley.
The music is just too much. Like, calm down.
How do you like the hype songs, the hype music?
I would be so much funnier if there was a band back there just going absolutely ape shit, like insane. They're like, yeah, this is awesome. It's like, it's just us.
Just before coming on stage, you said that yesterday they also invited you on stage with like a similar type of beat, I guess, right? And like people should be expecting Robert Downey Jr. to come on stage.
Yeah. If anyone was at the opening ceremony yesterday, that like they pull us up last, and like Jackson, the host, is just like, and this is the moment you've all been waiting for. And then it's just us.
And Tom is like, really?
2 guys who put videos on the internet.
Yeah, like I was like backstage looking around like, oh, who's coming? Oh, it's me? Oh, no, they're going to be so disappointed. That's it, okay. But here we are, hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. So how has your whole weekend been going so far? Like, how has it been? Have you been here all weekend? Like from Friday
to Thursday.
It's been great. I've had a great time. Just a wonderful crowd of people, and yeah, just I'm having an opportunity to roam around the artist alley and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's just been fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's great. And yeah, I mean, like I was here last year and it was wicked. And this year, I'm not hungover, which is a significant improvement than the last time.
Yeah, last year we had a very long discussion.
Yeah, we did.
Were you hungover then, or?
Which day was that? I don't think so.
I think it was Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday was fine. No, so Sunday they basically the organizers take all the guests and some of the team out, and then they just so much. So much alcohol.
Yeah, that makes sense because you were really sharp back then. But it was on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday was I was killing it on Saturday. I was awesome. I was on it. And then on Sunday, I got up on this stage, more hungover than I've ever been in my life, and I had a panic attack on stage. I didn't know that was a thing, but I was so scared.
Was it a group chat like this one? Let's call it a group chat, or were you interviewed alone?
It was only 3 of us on stage, and I was just
didn't really have to worry about it.
I was freaking out. Like Jack was throwing me questions, and I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on.
What are you asking me for?
It was probably one of the worst days of my life, but it was also really fun. So there's like clips of me being like, I can't wait to come back next year. I'm dying in those. I'm like feeling so bad in those moments.
That's like your default answer. If you don't know what to answer, like, I'll come back next year.
I'm like, let's try that again.
But today's Sunday, so you're hungover.
No, I'm fine.
Oh,
We're good.
We made it.
Eddie's hungover.
And don't get me wrong, on one hand, the organizer is like, you have a panel at 12. And then the other hand, he's holding shots. And it's like, please, dude, give me a break, man. He's like, have a panel at 12 and a shot. I'm like, no.
Another shot. And another one. Nah.
No shot should be that shade of green. I don't know what was in those.
Before inviting you on stage, I sort of introduced you as like veteran YouTubers, but you both yourselves, is that the right way to characterize your work?
I'd say old. Really old.
So just, like a nice way to put old is to say veteran, right?
Yeah.
But like, would you consider yourself YouTubers, or are you in the realm of like, no, we're writers, producers, and all that? Because on Friday, I had a talk with an animator, Catnips, And I was like, how should I introduce you? Like, are you
he doesn't
a
even
comic
do
book
YouTube.
artist? Are you a YouTuber? And he's like, just call me an Instagrammer. All my work is on Instagram. And I'm like, that's very reductive. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think you're an
but it's like,
Instagrammer.
technically no less reductive than YouTuber. Really, it's different platforms. So yeah, like me and Harry were having a conversation about like the difference between YouTube and TikTok and Instagram last night, and it is just. I just say content creator. And like there's so many artists out there that have such an issue with the term content creator. Like, I don't make content, I make art. And I'm like, I make content. I make stuff to put on the internet. Like I'm content with that. Like I like that I get to do that. And like other like filmmakers and writers and stuff, they hate that label, and I respect that they don't like that label, but personally I love it because I don't make one thing. I make loads of. We do comics sometimes. We do comedy sketches. We do cartoons. We do vlogs. We do so many. We made a board game. It's stuff. I make stuff, and I hate being in. I hate any situation where someone asks me what my job is. Haircuts, taxis. I just lie. I just say I'm in advertising, and then they stop asking questions. Because I'm a content creator. So.
Eddie's also a voice actor. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that something you like to put on your CV, on your LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I dabble in this sort of stuff too. But yeah, it's like as you say, it's such a. When you make stuff on YouTube, you wear many hats. You know, you not only have to write, produce, and voice your stuff, you've also got to promote it yourself. You've got to sort of be your own manager. You've got to negotiate with sponsors and stuff like that. And so it's such a massive job. It's not just, I just make a funny thing. You've got to edit it, do the thumbnail, do all the metadata and stuff like that. And it's like, it's such a big job for what it is, you know.
Everyone is a brand now, and it's exhausting.
Talking about brands, I think that this particular discussion is sponsored by our beloved brand Surfshark.
Which is so funny. Like I had no idea that. Like I'm the only sponsored guest this whole con, and I didn't. It's just really funny. Like they just Surfshark were just like, come back. I was like, okay.
I'd love to come back next year.
And they're like, yeah, you're gonna. I don't have a choice in this matter, apparently. I love Surfshark. They're so funny.
We got to visit their offices.
Yeah, we were
on Friday.
Yeah, we were at their offices on Friday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, as I was becoming feverishly ill, which was so funny. Like I arrived with a little cold, but like I just got super ill on Friday. So when people are like, oh, how's Vilnius? I'm like, I don't know. I was in bed for the entirety of Friday. But yeah, we were shooting at their offices, and the CEO was just like, can I be in the video? So just in our next Surfshark ad, there's just the CEO of Surfshark, which is just really funny.
Who plays the assistant to a cartoon shark.
Yeah, you know how it is.
So you spoke a bit mentioned like collaborations. I remember you definitely like co-writing, co-directing Ed's World, but what other projects do you both worked on? And are there any other, let's say, collaborations in the works, upcoming collaborations? Can you talk a bit about
definitely. That? Go ahead.
Oh gosh, collaborations. I mean, yeah, for my own stuff, part of the fun is to try to like find ways to like, can I work with somebody I've never worked with before? Can they do a voice here or there, or maybe I can do something for them? And you know, it becomes, I guess, the community aspect of it, where you just get to like contribute to one another's works and ideally create an overall better piece than had you did it entirely solo, because everyone brings their own unique spin, their own take on something, and maybe even something you would have never considered if it was just by yourself. And obviously for the past decade, I've been collaborating with this guy. And it's been a thrill, because I just think we bring the best out of each other.
Wow. So the story between me and Eddie is we met at an event, like one of these, but like a really dinky one in like a room the size of this stage in London.
Was it like 15 years ago?
Yeah, like it was been about 17 filthy years ago.
Just referring to the fact that you're old, like you said.
So old. So it was a really long time ago, and Eddie was just, I think he was at a table next to us. It was when it was just the original tiny little Ridgewell team, and I was just at the table, and like he was just on the table next to us. He was a really nice guy. We had a really nice time hanging out, and then I went home and wrote a blog post about this fucking loser next to us. For just no reason. I was just a horrible little like 16-year-old, and I was like, yeah, I had a really good time at the con, but the guy next to us was just fucking lame. And like he found it in like an hour because
I
he
do.
name searched himself on Google, which led me to coin TomSka's law. Anything you say online can and will be found by the person you said it about, usually within 24 hours in my experience. But yeah, like I eventually did apologize. But then, yeah, a few years later when I moved to London, I just started working with Eddie because he was just excited about wanting to write stuff, and when we wrote stuff together, it was better. So pretty much everything I've made in the past 10 years has had your stink on it in some way or another, hasn't it?
Did Eddie have his hand in any of the ASDF movies, or are those solo, like sort of
Yeah, he
solo
did the
produced?
fart joke. That was him. That was all him.
What?
Yeah, that was all him. No, it wasn't. That was very much still my fault. No, yeah, Eddie, it was Aston Movie 11 that I think it was.
Yeah, I think so. There was definitely
The one with the fart joke.
To begin with, there was like definitely a degree of like you wanted to ensure that you could still do it by yourself. You know, everything else we did together, the live action sketches and other videos, that was like a joint thing. But you had this one thing, it's like, no, I want to keep this to myself.
Yeah, I had to be a big control freak over Aston Movie.
And then it got to a point where it's like, okay, I'm now you've done number 10.
Yeah.
You're opened up to like, okay, now we can collaborate on this together. So since that episode, we've been collaborating on them, and it is a very tiring process.
Yeah, he hates it because Aston Movie is like 99% me just saying no to every suggestion. So. Yeah, it's people like to imagine that like when we make Aston Movie, it's like a really funny like whoa,
we're always laughing and we're like, yeah, but it's like, no, we're not. It's just quiet.
Me just crushing every idea he has. He's like, what if a dog could fly? I'm like, no, that's nothing. There's nothing in that. Yeah, but it's fun.
No, then when a joke lands, it feels good.
Yeah.
It feels really good.
So then, sorry to ram on this point, but then give me the ratio of the ideas that you consider for the ASDF movie and the ones that you just reject. Because it seems like there are quite a few of them, and there's a lot of ideas in them, and like they're in the final product. So, and lots of them seem pretty quirky, right? So how many ideas do you just reject?
So many. We don't have we can't keep track of it, but it's like, there's multiple tiers because there's the ones that go in, and so for each episode that's about 20 to 25 jokes. There's the ones that we write down, which
and you say no to them.
Which is there's
They're like
the ones
maybes.
we write down the maybes, and that's usually about like 50 total, but then there's like the ones that we'll say out loud. And that's probably a couple hundred. And then there's the ones that we just think, and that'll be in the thousands,
Yeah, there are hundreds of thousands. Because we would, a lot of the time where we're brainstorming, either we are just spurting stuff out loud, or we would draw comics to try and sort of convey. Because sometimes with an Aston movie, it's so minimalist, it's hard to convey what the joke you're thinking of is, unless you kind of make it.
Yeah.
I've actually made my own animations just to pitch to you how I think a joke would go down, because it's different to describing a joke. I mean, describing the joke is the best way to kill a joke absolutely dead. So trying to bring a person on board by like either, performing it basically seems to be the best way to translate that.
But the problem is the best Aston Movie jokes don't make sense, I think, at the end of the day. Like, there's no way you could have conveyed some of the most popular gags to me. If I was now pitching them to myself, I'd be like, that's nothing. That's not even a joke. So it's hard to get back to the mindset that I had when I was younger, when I think I made some of the best jokes, because a lot of the Aston Movie jokes these days are logical. They do at the end of the day, they're a joke. They make sense. They have a setup and a punchline, whereas some of the old ones are just some stuff. There's like, I'm die potato, and he steps on it. What is that? That's not a joke. That's just, it's just a thing that happens.
You mean you sort of just illustrate a premise without a punchline, but at the end, the whole premise is the punchline.
Yeah,
so.
but these days I really struggle to like let myself do jokes like that. So it's really hard to like justify the joke, and we end up overthinking it, and then I can get stuck in a trap of like making too much sense, when I really just want to be being a silly, goofy guy. But like when I was younger, I just had the confidence of a teenager being like, that is funny. And now I'm just crippled with dread and anxiety, just being like, what am I doing? I don't know what that is. Is that anything? Is that a joke? I don't know.
Because there's now a standard set, because the series is so big. it's now set as a precedent to be like, whatever we do, we have to match, if not exceed that. And because it's higher and higher every time, it becomes a larger and larger job to do just to get 20 jokes.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So even if, we all know that even if Thomas, I don't know, in the upcoming couple of years releases the second, well, third, fourth, I don't know, fifth Godfather, he will never live down the fact that ASDF movies is the content type that sort of defines your whole brand, right?
And I'm very
But
fine
that's
with
fine.
that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
From last year, I know that's fine with you. But Eddie, what would you say is are the let's say content pieces that would mostly define like your character or your brand? Let's say.
Oh, my stuff. Well, I mean, just to loop back to the work I've done with Tom, I think like.
Sorry, I'm gonna just immediately super unprofessional of me. I'm just gonna immediately interject. For everyone asking when's my next video, just go to the YouTube channel Eddache. Please subscribe to it. Fantastic commentary videos, fantastic essay videos.
Thank you.
Great channel. Definitely recommend. You must go to. Not right now, like in half an hour. Go there, subscribe to it. Great, amazing content. If you want commentary content, there you go. You have that stand over here.
Thank you very much.
Please continue.
Can you come to our stand and just keep
Yeah.
saying that
Yes,
to people? That would
yes,
be
I
great.
will be the hype man for your stand for the next couple of hours.
But I mean, I think that some of the proudest work I've done with Tom, I think, is a sketch called The Hole, which is where it was originally just a video I was going to make, and it was going to be a very Monty Python-esque, absurd sketch of, there's just a hole in the middle of the room and the characters are talking about it and stuff. And then, when I was telling Tom the idea, he's like, I want that. Can I have that, actually? Yeah. And it's like, do you know what? It would be better because we work together so well.
So
it'd be
there
better.
is sort of a moment, sorry to interrupt you again, but so there is sort of a moment where you come up with ideas and then you just sort of I want to have it on my channel.
Yes, sometimes, I mean, there's been times when obviously most of the time we're writing sketches together, but sometimes Eddie has written a sketch and pitched it to me, and yeah, sometimes like it's like 90% there and it just needs getting over the finish line. So like with The Hole, my contribution to that was the hole. In the end, it was just like, let's show the hole a lot.
Yeah, the boah noise as well.
Because it was like, because I completely delivered it the opposite way to the way you imagined it.
So my Monty Python was much bigger. It's like, there's a hole. What do you mean there's a hole? So big and silly. But then Tom brought it sort of down to earth, and I think the drier delivery of something absurd is much funnier.
Yeah. So it was still a collaboration, so I can still sleep at night, somewhat.
Which one of your, again, the question for Eddie, sorry. Which one of your commentary videos would you consider, you loved making the most, let's say? I mean, not looking at the views, just like, what did you love making the most?
I love doing research. I know, right? It was weird, like in school, I couldn't stand it, but like now this is on my own terms. The fact that I could do weird deep dives into absurd questions no one's really asked, or people have asked, but they don't go as deep as I go. It's
like a question that's like maybe worth writing a Reddit question about, Like, hey, does anyone know how like cat dog poops? And everyone's like, shut up, man.
Yeah, no one cares about this.
And you're like, what if I made a whole video on this?
Yeah. So when I do videos that like have a lot of research go into it, and then it culminates into like a complete package video. That's the stuff I get really like thrilled about. I can rewatch my own videos with pride because I've done it as far as I possibly can. I've made no shortcuts. I've sourced everything. So I mean, I did a video on the Ninja Turtles. When it came to the UK, it had to be rebranded to begin with. It had to be rebranded to Hero Turtles, because for some reason, Britain had a big problem with the word ninja. And so I was like, okay, but that's a thing that a lot of Brits know. But I was like, but why? What led up to this? And so I dug, it became very political, like a lot of massive campaigns about horror movies and action movies, and just a lot of like moral panics that led up to this moment. And so now it's just good to take something that's like a weird question, but give it its fullest possible answer through thorough research that I can pride myself on.
Well, your deep dives are really deep. Like yesterday, I was watching a video. I think it was called "Creativity and Censorship," and the video opens up with, "During the Second World War, the U.S. Army used the pesticide," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, did I just misclick a video? Is this the right video?"
Well, so Eddie and I work together a lot, obviously, and yeah, I've seen how much he enjoys researching and how thorough and good he is at it. And so one thing I'm interested in trying to do is work together like that. So there's a few video essays that or like video rambles that I'd like to do, but I know that I just won't sit down and focus on. So I'm opening up the idea of like having Eddie research these videos with me and then put them together. So like one thing that I've had you on for a couple days this month is like, why are furries so sexy? Why did that happen? You know,
we just have to accept the premise that they are, and now we have to make a research.
It's
why.
like the basic idea is like, who gave them the bedroom eyes? Where did that come from? And I have a theory that it can be traced back to Disney specifically reusing human animation when they're animating like Robin Hood and stuff, and like anthropomorphizing these foxes way more humanly than anyone ever had before. So I'm like, did furries get so sexy because Disney ran out of money? And that's like kind of an interesting theory, and so the answer is probably not. People are just weirdly horny. But so yeah, like you've been like finding loads of really interesting stuff about that, and then
I've been digging into ancient Egypt. That's how deep
yeah,
I've been going.
yeah, the story of furries literally starts thousands of years ago, and it's already a very interesting idea.
That's a typical Eddie video.
Yeah. So what I'm hoping, because the thing is that there's loads of times when I've been like, oh, you should do a video on this. And he's like, that's not really my thing. So now I'm like, well, they are my thing. So let's do those together. So like, yeah,
It's an hour thing.
once you've got like that research, then we'll mold it into sort of a story. Because at the end of the day, most video essays, the best ones are just stories. You take the audience on a journey of discovery, and you know, if you found a cool new scoop, then you just take them on the journey to that discovery. And have we figured out what the hook of the furry video is yet?
No, not yet.
So wait a minute, this furry video is real. It's not a hypothetical joke.
No,
actually making a video
fully want to make this video.
Yeah.
I have loads of stupid like video essay ideas. Like I want to do one that's like, does like Smosh exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? You know, can they exist?
Because Star Wars exists in the MCU as a movie series, and they reference other films and stuff. So therefore, can we connect the threads?
Well, because
back to
it's
something
more like
very niche.
yeah, because like in like say like a big franchise like Marvel, it references loads of other pieces of media, but those pieces of media have actors in it that are in Marvel, so technically that can't exist. And then it's like, how far can you, who can exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe if you eliminate everyone that's a contradiction? And it's a really stupid, boring thing to explain, but the idea is, can we make a funny video out of this? A very mad, deep dive thing, and we'll find out. It just would require me to rewatch.
I think
the
people
entire-
like the most amount of work, whether it's video essays or comedy sketches, they like the most amount of work going into something very, very stupid.
It's funny to see someone go mad, is basically the idea.
That is true. During our short intro, you sort of mentioned, like when we were talking about the platforms to which you produce your content, right? You mentioned TikTok, you've mentioned Instagram. How, let's say, the whole theme for the day, right, is the digital creativity in the social media age. So, like, how did the I think I've asked all of my guests like the same question, that how did the coming up of TikTok sort of, how did it influence your work? The fact that it exploded as much, the fact that now it, you know, has huge audiences over there, the fact that it's probably also influenced the reduction of the attention span of people. How did that influence your work? Like, is that more of a challenge, or is that something that you can just utilize to further your creative outlets, or not really?
It's just, it's different. Like, TikTok is this completely different thing, and it's this whole different ecosystem that I find really interesting, and I don't find it, like, threatening, because I just, you know.
Oh, you don't?
I know, and I never want to become one of those, like, bitter old creators that's like, yeah, things were better when I was in my prime, and now the kids these days, it's just like, no, it's that naturally, like, I've watched so many people like rise and fall, or I even think saying fall is a bit depressing. It's just like people have their time, you know. People are at their peak, and that will end, you know. Like I would be obviously delirious to be like, yeah, I'm still on the up. Like no, like I'm obviously like 2013 was 10 years ago, and that was when my when things were craziest. Yeah, absolutely. And like, I mean, I made the Muffin song to kind of be like, well, that was fun, everybody, thank you. And then just by a freak chance, TikTok blew it up so big that it was like, oh shit, I'll just stick around a bit longer.
Again?
Yeah. Well, in that initially, because when it first came out, it did well on the channel. Then about 6 months to a year later, that's when it became a huge thing on TikTok.
Because I imagine like you love doing sketch comedy. So sketch comedy, it sort of works for the TikTok, let's say, I don't know, format algorithm, right? You can perform a whole joke in like a minute and a half. But like for instance, for Eddie and for me, like I'm a commentary content creator or essay content creator. So then when you have this sort of like format that's 1 minute, like what is there to do for me? So what do you think of that?
Things can be done, I think, with short form commentary. It's usually just kind of like fun facts kind of thing. Yeah. There's a lot of TikToks. There's like, did you know in this movie? I'm like, whoa.
Did you know that a frog can jump higher than the Eiffel Tower? That's because the Eiffel Tower can't jump. These ones, right?
So there are ways for commentary videos and video essay channels to sort of work on TikTok, but it has to be on TikTok's terms. I did experiment being like, well, can I just cut up some of my videos and put a piece of it on there? And it does not work because there isn't...
Oh, really?
No, because there's no incentive for people to click through to investigate more of your work because TikTok wants to keep you on TikTok. People can also tell when it's clearly just it's a 1080 video that you've put into a portrait mode and it's clearly not right. And people I think people prefer with TikTok like more native, lo-fi, approachable stuff. There's something more approachable about a guy who's just clearly holding his phone in his car or in his living room versus in a studio. People instantly, I don't know, the studio feels artificial, whereas if it's on their clearly themselves, it feels genuine and therefore insightful. And I've there's been some great channels out there that give out some great information, but equally there are some bad ones that do bad information because they have the same approachable demeanor and they can just spread misinformation out there just as quick as information.
So yeah, you've got to go native to whatever platform you're posting on. So many people have been like, oh, are you gonna put yours? Why don't you post your sketches on TikTok? And don't get me wrong, that does happen sometimes. People will just post a sketch on TikTok and it'll get like an obscene number of views. But like we've tried.
And like you said, it's usually like a re-upload.
Yeah, it's a re-upload. It's like a low quality. But for some reason, if people can just tell if you're the one who's reposted it and you're like, hey guys, check out my YouTube video on TikTok. They'll be like, no. But if they can just see that someone's uploaded it in a really low quality, they'll be like, yeah, I'll sit through 3 minutes of this. For some reason, you've got to, if you're going to post something on TikTok, you have to make it for TikTok. Or if you're posting stuff on Instagram, you've probably got to make it for Instagram. You've got to work with the platform and with the rules of that platform. So like, I love making comedy sketches, but I cannot do the comedy sketches I would do on YouTube on TikTok because there's just a whole different language that you don't even realize that you're aware of, but it is there. Like if I filmed some TikTok style sketches for TikTok, but I made one mistake in one of them, which is I put a wig on, and people were like, why that's so try hard. Just put a little dish rag on your head. That's how you do it on TikTok. You don't put a wig on. That's too much effort.
You've now added production to it. It's like,
now it's cringe.
Scale it back.
It's cringe and it's try hard. Like what people want on TikTok is they want to feel like you did just pull your phone out and film it on your own with like no effort. Whereas on YouTube, after like 2011, like this arms race to like make the most high budget sketches you could came into effect, and then Vine happened in 2013, and all of a sudden people went back to being like, no, we want to see you and then you again from another angle, and TikTok is an evolution of that. So if you're going to post, you could post you could make a video essay on YouTube, but then you could also just post that exact same video on TikTok, but instead of yeah, being this well-structured like story, it would be just you talking to camera being like, hey, did you know? And then, you know, like Vsauce, Hank Green, like all these like established YouTubers, they do TikToks as well, but they do them native to the platform. They're, you know, like Hank Green is just filming videos being like, hey, you know, this is a crazy science fact. And Michael Vsauce is doing the same, but instead of they're not sitting down in front of a camera and being like, hey guys, you know, because that's how it works on YouTube. That's the language of YouTube, but you can't do that on another platform. And yeah.
Were you ever in a situation like, for instance, again, I was making, like 5 months ago, I was making this one video essay. A lot of research went into it, editing, all that. I put it on my YouTube channel. It has like now like 130,000 views, which is depressing. And then I made like a short, sort of like a dumb short video. It's like a vertical one, and it's not even from a structured video. It's not even from, it was from a live stream, and now it has like more than 500,000 views on my Instagram, and I'm like, well, what is this then? Why should I put in the work then if this sort of stuff gets the recognition? So have you ever encountered like sort of similar situations?
Yeah, but that's just kind of the rule. I think that's just how it is, and that's true. Every creator has had that moment a dozen times over. Partly because I think the videos that you're the most proud of are the videos that are the most niche to your specific tastes.
Probably, yeah.
Whereas something that you've just kind of like thrown out it's going to have a broader appeal because it's going to, you know, you haven't really refined it into such a specific thing that you love. It's the perfect video for you, but that means that it's only going to be perfect for all the people that are exactly like you. Whereas, yeah, something more like Asta Movie, where I've made it to, you know, like I probably wouldn't these days watch something like that now myself voluntarily. I'd be like, oh, this is too slow down. I'm sleepy. But I'm making it for, you know, a broader audience of just like people just want to have a giggle for like 90 seconds. Whereas what I would like is probably like more of a like quite a heady, like layered comedy sketch that's like, you know, building and escalating and all this stuff. But it's like, yeah, that's not as.
Sometimes people just like uncomplicated things. Sometimes they are also sleepy.
Yeah.
And they just, you know, there are times when they want something heady, and there are times where, you know, I'm going to sit down with my dinner and I'm going to watch this thing and then give it 100% of my attention, and they're in the mood to absorb it. And then there are other times.
Most of the time they're on the toilet.
Yeah. The other times they're just like, just give me stuff. Just give me stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I don't, no thinky. Just give me stuff.
But overall, like, is there a sort of a connection or a relation or relationship between your, let's say, creative outlet, like, between the content that you're making and the algorithms? Like, are you sort of, when you're writing a script, let's say, whether it's a sketch, whether it's an essay, do you still take into consideration the fact that you will be posting, let's say, on YouTube, and the algorithm needs, you know, A, B, C, D things for the video to, well, not necessarily go viral, but for, you know, for YouTube to love the content that you're making and to, you know, recommend it to others?
Definitely, and what that looks like has changed over the years. Like, it used to be.
That would have been my next question. Like, since you are veterans, right? Maybe you can Maybe you can, you know, compare the digital landscape like 5 years ago, 10 years ago now.
Yeah, I mean, so like, it used to just be like, the way to make a good comedy sketch on YouTube was just like to not have anything that didn't need to be there. Like, you'd want to like make sure that it didn't have an intro, it didn't have an outro. There was no time wasted. Just like get into the funny. And
it ends in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah, but like, there were certain things that would just be like that would help a sketch do better on YouTube. You know, like that it was really quick fire, that you crammed loads of gags into it, because then people are going to want to and need to rewatch it because they might have been laughing and missed something. So like really tight, fast, repetitive. People love repetitive jokes and all this stuff, which is completely different to how you do a sketch that you're watching on TV, where the audience is probably far more passive and less likely to click off. But now the rules have changed, that you're also working against like algorithms and YouTube demonetization and stuff. Like, like we've realized that, you know, if you even joke about suicide or show someone like committing suicide or anything in a sketch now, that sketch is done. It's killed. And we're still trying to figure out where the line is. Like, I did the last sketch I posted. It doesn't show me like shooting myself, but it does have me go, I'm put a gun in my mouth, and that was enough to kill the video. So the next sketch we're about to release has me going to do that again, and like I pull a gun up and someone like stops me, but it's like, where is that line of like, if the gun gets here, I think if the gun points at my face at any point, that's probably going to get it killed. So it's like we have it stop like here, and it's a horrible guessing game, basically.
You have a sketch where you, I think, kidnap your bullies from high school, and it's just age restricted immediately.
Yep, killed it. Just killed it, and it was just really depressing because, you know, making a high production value comedy sketch on YouTube costs a few €1,000. Like on average, for my sketch, it's about €1,000 a minute. So if it's a 3-minute sketch, it's about €3,000. And so to make something like that and then have it be killed when it's, you know, been up for an hour or two is just like, oh, I spent money on that, dude. That's shit. And it's hard to get, and that's why I haven't posted a sketch to my main channel in over a year now, just because it's been like, what's the point?
What's the point?
And so we've been having more fun on my secondary channel and just trying to rediscover it, but we've been writing loads of new stuff and trying to figure out what coming back to YouTube would look like and what kind of jokes we can do and what we'll be able to get away with. And it's still going to be trial and error, but what I've been doing is we've been filming loads of stuff so that I can't get demoralized, basically. So like we can post a video, and if it does badly, we've still got the next video ready. Because if I post a video and it does badly, I'll be so sad I won't make anything for months.
Yeah.
So it's like we'll pre-make it.
That's a good routine. Well, good
yeah.
work ethic.
So I'm like just focusing on the next thing, and we're trying to like just get it lined up. So we have a sketch called The Confession 4 that'll be coming out like hopefully next month, and then another one hopefully a couple weeks after that. So.
Any trends that you've noticed over the years, Eddie, especially making long-form content?
Yeah, so with so the thing about, as Tom was alluding to, like say you're watching a TV show, you would probably give that maybe 10 minutes before you make your mind if you're going to stop watching it.
I mean, if the remote control is on the other side of the room, I'm probably watching the whole show. I don't care.
You know, you'd be like, am I going to commit to this, you know? Then with a YouTube video, it's like maybe 10 seconds before somebody decides if they're going to like click, because obviously it's just a mouse click or a finger swipe away from them closing your video again. And on TikTok, you have maybe a second. If you have the wrong tone of voice, gone, you know? So it's
crazy.
So much more aggressive of trying to like engage an audience that way. I mean, and also because there's this, people will watch the first few seconds and make their mind up if they're going to watch the rest, I've begun to integrate cold opens into my video. So before any logo, before I get into the introduction of the video, I'll do just a summary at the very start of being
During the Second World War.
Yeah. It's like, here's a situation. That's weird, right? How did that happen? Logo. So that way, hopefully, if people were curious about the video...
It's the elevator pitch. You're pitching the video.
Yeah, and so hopefully at that point, which is obviously the point most people watch the video, the very start, then if I've got them hooked, great. Then they will continue to watch the rest, now that I've sold them on what the premise is going to be.
Well, it's the same reason you have, like, on YouTube ads, like, if there's a movie trailer as a YouTube ad, there'll be an advert for the trailer before the trailer starts, because if you're going to skip it in that first 5 seconds, so it'll be like, dun, 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 the mummy, and now here's the trailer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
that's
it's a guarantee that you get something in those first 5 seconds. Because like the amount of times there's been like
I've never thought about this, but yeah.
When they first started doing like movie trailers as YouTube ads, it would be like a really slow like, in a world.
And I'm like, I'm gone.
Skip. Yeah. So now it's like, boom, dinosaurs, explosions, whoa. In a world. And then they fade into it. It's like guarantees. And they're pitching the ad to you before the ad even starts.
Yeah.
Because like it's bad. Like when I use TikTok, I'll be enjoying a video and I'll still swipe away. It's horrible what it's done to our brains. I'll be like, this is fun. I've got everything I'm going to get out of this now, and swipe away. Like my girlfriend would be showing me, like, oh, look at this cute video of a kitten. I'm like, that is cute. 2 seconds was enough. It's not getting cuter. You know, it's not going to surprise me.
Do you ever also think about, let's say, audience capture?
Oh, like
audience capture is sort of the how to best define it. Whenever a creator is sort of entangled, well, the relationship between the creator and his audience is so close that the creator is always making content specifically for that audience and no longer exploring his own creative, let's say, ventures that he would like to explore. Do you ever walk into that situation or not really?
It's a constant battle. I think it's one that you and I are very aware of all the time,
Yeah.
of not doing the thing people want.
Yeah, exactly. Like constantly just doing the thing that people want and not fulfilling
We've seen
yourself
it kill
creatively.
so many people, like creatively. Like it wipes you out. Like, because yeah, like if you do like one video that does really well, it's so tempting to be like, oh, I'll just do that again.
do another again.
And on a platform like TikTok, that is both career making and a death sentence.
Yeah.
Because like you'll see someone who's like, oh, I did a funny sketch about like what it's like working in a sandwich shop. And then they love that, so they're like, okay, well, here's another sketch about me working on this sandwich shop. And then like 50 videos later, it's like, I've run out of funny things that happened in that sandwich shop. And then they'll do like another thing, and it'll be like 1 million views, 1 million views, 1 million views, 20 views. And they'll be like, oh, okay, here's another thing about a sandwich shop, 1 million views. And it can be really, really constricting.
It could be a trapping because you may want to be this kind of more multi-purpose creative, but you kind of get pigeonholed into what works. And so I think, it's about, it's that fine line. I think basically people don't know what they want. I kind of have a fear that people don't really know what they want. So like you make a video and people are like, that was great, I would like another. And it's like, well, you might make another, but it may not live up to the first one. But if you just give them a new thing that is still, your style, they'll be like, oh, that was great. I didn't know I wanted that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a good chance that if you made something that did really well, there is a degree of just sometimes it's luck and stuff, but there's a decent chance that the reason that video did really well and really resonated with an audience is because you enjoyed making it and you added something unique that they liked. And it's not just that like, oh, I made a video on Shrek that did well, I must now make more videos about Shrek.
I am now a Shrek dedicated channel, right?
Yeah, but that's such a trap that so many people fall into because it's more likely it was just like, no, you made a good video that just happened to be about Shrek. People will think that they just want more Shrek videos now, but what they just want is more videos from you of that caliber, of that energy. And
they were surprised by how much they enjoyed that video.
Yeah, and
they would like to be surprised again.
There is a game to figuring out like the commonality, like because I did a video on Thomas the Tank Engine and it did really, really well. And people were like, more of that. And I immediately like don't really know what that means because it's like, what more of like I'd love to do more like videos and deep dives and stuff, but that video is quite unique and people think like, they're like, okay, do one on this other talking vehicle show. And it's like, you didn't like it because it was a video essay about a talking vehicle. You liked it because it was a fun video that I wanted to make and I worked hard on. So it's a real balancing act, and it's half an art, half a science. Good luck.
Because if you're just chasing what made that work, you've probably already lost them because it's like, well, you made it because you found something funny and enjoyable in it and wanted to share that. And you just got to, ultimately you're making stuff for yourself. And there is still a bit of a game of being like, but I got to make it, appealing, and I got to, can't assume everyone is up to my speed, and you got to bring everyone up to speed in information and stuff. But as long as it's true to you and you enjoy it, then hopefully they will enjoy it too, because that sincerity will feed through.
I actually had a question. Is your artistic integrity more important than staying visible or relevant? So I guess that sort of answers the question that your artistic integrity should always be above just staying relevant.
It's a balance. I think it's a balance because with YouTube, you do have to play the game. Like you can pour your
everything
heart,
you have to play the game.
If you can pour your heart and soul into a video
and get 2 views, right?
And if you give it the wrong thumbnail, it dies.
Oh, absolutely.
If you give it the wrong title, it dies. So you gotta play ball. You gotta be like, okay, I've got to give it the most, not the most, but you got to give it a bit of a clickbaity thumbnail maybe, or an incentivizing title.
It's horrible. There's been videos that got views they simply didn't deserve because we just had a really killer thumbnail or title that was just like, that's there was. I mean, we did an episode of content it was a good episode, but it was just we put a question in the thumbnail, and that led to hundreds of thousands of people, more than average, clicking through because they were just like engaged by the question in the thumbnail and wanted to like click on the video and like answer it, which was so, and because enough of them clicked through, it then started getting pushed to the algorithm, which creates a feedback loop of it's now in more people's recommended feeds, more people are clicking on it, and it's like, oh, but this video was just like fine. It was as good as the 5 we'd posted before it.
Yeah.
Okay, Thomas, Eddie, just like last year, we went completely overtime.
So sorry.
It's 45 minutes, I'm sorry. There is a microphone over there in the spotlight. If you have any questions for Eddie, Eddache, if you have any questions for Thomas, TomSka,
That's me.
then that is him. So please, you can go to the microphone over there. If you need like a couple of seconds to run from one side of the...
You don't have them run. Do it in an
I
unsafe way.
think you should probably try running. Yeah, sure. First question, go.
Okay, so I have a friend. His name's Cheese.
Congrats.
And yes, he didn't show up. So
Kill him.
He's an idiot. And I want you to tell him that he is an idiot.
Great. He is. He knows it. He knows he's an idiot. So I hope he feels ashamed.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if like you could say, Cheese, like you're in, like.
I'm going to kill you.
You heard that goddamn right. Thank you so much, by the way.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the request. Any other quirky requests or questions or anything? No?
Always end on a high. You know, that's the secret. So when I was talking about like, you know, like it's important when you're making content to like know when to end it. It's always good to
Okay,
peter
so
out as much as possible.
Eddie, Tom, thank you very much for joining me on stage to talk about creativity,
Thank you
talk
so
about
much.
your work, and
Thank you.
we'll see you again next year, I guess.
Yeah, if they'll have us.
Thanks,